Morning, folks. We'll get started in about 4 minutes. In the meantime, though, if you could be so kind as to let me know in your in the chat window if you can hear me clearly. Perfect. Thank you, Jeffrey. Appreciate it. Excellent. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. That's good. Like I said, we'll get going right at 11 o'clock. All right, folks, so it's 11 o'clock now. We'll get going with the webinar. I see we've got a number of people on, 35 attendees so far, so that's looking great. So here, let's begin the webinar. First of all, I'll share my screen with you. Here we are. Very good. All right, so good morning. Thank you for attending this webinar. Another one in the Digitcom Adding Value series. Today's webinar is working remotely, that would be, here, let me start some video as well. Here we go. So there we go, perfect. Okay, it would be working remotely and simply and on a budget. So what we'll do is we'll do another series of this at some point in which we show you some cool tech that you can use when working remotely, but we wanted to talk today specifically about working, like I say, very simply and on a budget. So not expensively and probably using features that your phone system may already have. So first of all, in introduction to our company, Digitcom has been in business since 1991. And so we focus on solution-based selling. That means selling you something of value rather than just selling you some phone gear. So making sure that it fits into your company and into your business processes. We bring value to customers, and that's our concentration. And that's why we do things like this webinar, which is part of our ongoing Providing Value series. So the idea is, of course, to share information with you that's not even necessarily promotional for Digitcom, but rather information about telecommunications as a whole, features that you may want to look at as a whole, and to help you make some good decisions. So our mission today with this particular webinar is to discuss working remotely without a lot of money or technology. And so the bottom line is, of course, that it's possible. In fact, many people do it every day. A lot of people with Digitcom do it. A lot of people with Digitcom also have higher tech. They also have IP phones on their desk and things like that. But again, a lot of people opt for the simpler, less high tech route. And then lastly, it's not just possible, but it's really common. In fact, I think a lot of call centers that you call into, you probably assume that people are sitting at a call center environment. And in fact, you're right. In a lot of cases, you can hear adjacent workers talking. But you probably think that people are sitting in a call center environment when in a lot of cases, they're actually at home in a home office, and calls are distributed to them at home. So you've probably spoken in the last couple of weeks, if you've called the company, there's a very good chance that you've spoken with somebody who's not actually at their company. And in fact, they're not using some sophisticated piece of equipment, but rather just a mobile phone or something to that effect. Okay, so what's out there? Here are the facts. Well, fact, modern phone systems and communication platform as a service. So there's a $10 acronym for you there if you didn't know it. CPaaS is communication platform as a service. So that would be your hosted PBXs and things like that. So most of them provide a simple and inexpensive way to work remotely, or more than one way. Fact, many interconnects, such as ourselves, still push complicated solutions when oftentimes cheap and cheerful would suffice. Again, that's hopefully not the case with Digitcom, but I mean, in general, a lot of interconnects are still pushing complicated solutions on customers. Fact, bears can climb faster than they can run. So that's Digitcom for you, providing value. Not only will we tell you about telecommunications, but we'll give you useless facts about bears that I'm not even sure if it's true. So lastly, parameters here. So in setting out parameters, so what is simple and inexpensive, and what does this thing need to actually do? Well, in my opinion, it needs to stand up to what I call WCS, so your worst case scenario. And what is, in this case, what is your worst case scenario? To my way of looking at it, it's a cottage in Northern Ontario with like a weak cell signal and maybe an analog phone line. It's a hotel or a vacation rental where inevitably they have inconsistent Wi-Fi from everyone that I've ever been to. So obviously your soft phone, hard phone solutions are out of the picture. Okay, so we've taken those off the table. Again, we're looking for cheap and cheerful here, something that will work in almost any condition. Okay, so more parameters though. So, and this is just in general, when you're working remotely, I don't care who you are or how you do it, you need to be able to do certain things. And to me, they're easily broken down to three things. You need to be able to take calls as if you're in the office. So when somebody dials your extension number, if somebody dials your direct inward system access number, or sorry, your DID, your direct inward dial number, it needs to go through to you and go to your voicemail if you aren't there. You need to be able to make a call as if you're in the office. So if I make a call to another person at their desk, it should show my extension and my name, ideally. And if I make a call out of the office, again, from here at home, working remotely, if I make a call out, It should not show my cell number. Instead, it should show the office number. And ideally, bonus marks if it shows that I'm busy on other people's sets in the office, right? So it should be basically like you're working at home, as if you've got an expensive cell phone on your desk, but you don't. And then lastly, very simply, you need to be able to turn this on and off remotely. So if for the day I'm set up to ring on my cell phone, I want to be able to shut it off at the end of the day, especially if my worst case scenario is my cottage in Northern Ontario, because I don't want my cell phone ringing when I'm not in business hours. Okay. So there are three common solutions to this. And these, like I say, these are common. These are with other systems. I'm going to show you some examples and demonstrate a bit using the systems that we sell. But these are three common ways to get this done. Straightforward, it's DISA, what we call DISA. It just stands for Direct Inward System Access. So that means a special phone number that you can call through your phone, whether it be your analog phone, again, Northern Ontario, or whether it's your cell phone, but a number that's set up ahead of time with your IT person or with whoever it is that looks after your phone system so that it authenticates. And you can call in from that given phone number. Your phone system will let you have some dial tone, and you can call other people in the office, or you can call out of the office by hitting 9 and whatever your access code is to call out. Okay, so that's DISA. Very common. It's been around for a long time. It's really underutilized in my opinion. Secondly is web portals. A lot of especially new solutions and of course communications as a platform type solutions do a beautiful job of this. Basically they're for call handling. So you should be able, in my opinion, to log into some sort of a portal, turn on these features, make phone calls from it and so on. And then lastly, remote terminals. So some brands like Avaya have coined twinning. Some call it simultaneous ring, some call it multi-ring. It's all kinds of different things. Some call it call forking, which is great because a call comes in and it forks out to two places. It's a feature in which you can make a second phone ring when your primary phone rings. So in other words, your desk phone can ring on a second phone at the same time. The importance of that, of course, is when I'm out on the road, I can take phone calls on, say, my cell phone that are ringing through to my desk phone. Okay. So in discussing that then, I want to show you a bit of a demonstration. So I'm going to go a bunch of different places with this. First of all, have you guys been seeing the screen this entire time? No? All right. Not very handy. There's a second click involved, and that's my mistake there. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually exit the screen share, stop share for a second, and I'm going to show you something here. So first of all, I want to show you direct inward system access. So this is my cell phone. Oh, see, I was doing some math there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call this backdoor number. So this is Digitcom's backdoor number. So what my cell phone's going to do is call into the office. It's going to get some dial tone, and then it's going to allow me to make a call. So I'm going to hit speaker here so that you can hear this. Very simple. Oh gosh, sorry. Very sorry. It's not set up yet. Just 1 second here. There we are. My mistake. Remember I said before that you would need to be authenticated. So this phone number is not in the phone system as yet. There we go. Now it is. Perfect. Hit save there. So I've set this up, of course, at the office before leaving. I'm going to show you the web portal where you can set this up anyhow. So we'll call back in here. We should be better now. What it will do when the call finally goes through is return me some dial tone. There you go. And I can make a call out at that point if I want. So I just hit 9 to dial an outside line and then put in a phone number. Hopefully all those digits were picked up.
Thank you for calling Digitcom.
Perfect. And so I called out and then back into the Digitcom auto attendant. Okay, so that's DISA. Now I could show you that on a couple different systems, but honestly, there isn't a whole lot to see there. So what I'm going to do here is share a screen for real this time. There we are. Just a sec here. Share monitor 1, share. Okay. Excellent. So so here we are. We will exit this guy here. Oh, here we go. Let's talk about these. So what this is right here is in my browser window, and I can do this, by the way, in a remote browser as well. I can do this in a mobile browser. It just doesn't show very well for you. So in my screen here, pardon me, you can see it's got my login and my password already pre-populated. This is just a web screen. There's no VPN between me and the office or anything complicated. I'm accessing this from outside the office. When I click on log me in, this screen comes up. Now, I won't go through all the features. Certainly, if you want a demo of the product, speak with one of the account reps. What I wanted to show you is how it relates to working remotely. So this is one answer to it. This is your communications platform as a service. It's a product called Maestra that's in Digitcom's hosted PBX. So when I click on settings here, you'll see I can manage my different phones. And you'll see that I've got a Polycom here and I've got a remote phone. And that is my cell phone. So it's already been set up and it's already turned on right now. And I can choose which terminal I want to use for placing calls. So the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm going to set it up such that my mobile phone is what places calls for me. So it's already set up there. And if I go over here then and place a call, so say I called, again, the Digicom main office, it'll call me on my phone here. Can't see sort of everything at once, but it will call me on my cell phone. There we go, very whimsical. And it will call out to, there we go, a little spotty signal there, but it will call out. So basically, any number that I want to dial, internal or external, I can put in somebody's extension here if I want to. And again, it will call me first, and then it will call that party, just to make darn sure that it can get hold of me in case my cell phone's out of service or something like that, and that's what I'm using. Okay, so, sorry, I'm just seeing a chat there, and there may be something relevant. There we go. No? Okay. Oh, sorry, somebody didn't get the name of it. So, do you need to be connected to a VPN? No. And this is the whole idea, Danilo, you don't need to be connected to a VPN. So again, this is cheap and cheerful. This is you at your cottage. And again, this is with Digicom's hosted PBX product. So this is hosted PBX, which is a hosted phone system. Okay, so that demonstrates your calling out. If I take a call, if somebody calls me at that number, I can actually demonstrate for you. What number? I believe. There you go. Yeah, you can see it's calling in. So somebody's calling from this phone number, which is actually me on a different phone. And it says right there, Ejaye's cell. And of course, I can answer the call. I can then control the call from here if I want to. Oh, she wants to know. Oh, sorry, I have to actually hit a pound or whatever to accept the call. Perfect. So we'll hang up. So the point is, when somebody calls me, whoops, when somebody calls me, I can, it tells me now I've missed a call. When I pick up the phone, you have to accept it in this particular case. With this system, but it gives me my call history, my call handling ability, access to voicemail, my messages, all that neat stuff. But the point is this, it's not a soft phone. It used my cell phone, so even in the worst of conditions, as long as a cell phone or an analog phone will work, this will work. And it gives me a lot of control. So again, it's just one of those modern products that's out there that in my opinion, any modern phone system should have. Okay, so if I went to check voicemail, for example, if I had any messages, really not that popular, but if I wanted, you can see I have no voicemail messages. I could listen to it through my browser, but again, our worst case scenario, we're stating that we don't have voice quality internet where we're located. So again, I can actually listen to it. It will call my cell phone and play the message out of the cell phone. Okay, so this is just an example of a hosted solution and what it might look like. This, on the other hand, is Avaya's answer to it. So Digicom sells a lot of Avaya product. Avaya for quite some time now has had this particular product. It's called Avaya 1X portal. And so it runs in the case that you have a premise-based phone system. So you have a phone system, a normal one, installed in your server room, and it's not a communications platform as a service type model. Then this actually would reside on a server, again, at your office. So the only hiccup here is that you need to install 1X portal somewhere. On a server box somewhere, and then you need to do some port forwarding through a firewall. So it's really honestly not that complicated. And once you're up and running with it, you can see that Digicom has got a subdomain pointed to this particular system. So we've made it a little bit easier for people to find rather than giving out an IP address. And so we peck that in. And again, this will work in a mobile browser. And then we've got our username and our password. As you can see, that's already pre-populated. But then under here, when I say log into phone, this is what Avaya does a little bit differently, is if I want it to ring on my cell phone here, which is the whole premise, then I click on this little box, log in through telecommuter, and I put in the number that I can be reached at, which is right there, and then I click log in. And it says don't use this application to make an emergency call, which is a really good idea, right? Because again, I'm at my cottage, so if I dial 911, emergency response would go to the wrong place. So they're just trying to warn you, don't use this as your method to reach out to the police. Okay, so we've clicked login. Takes a second here to populate. And this is Avaya's answer to the same idea. So the same idea being connecting people on the outside of their office to their phone without the use of a soft phone. So again, no soft phone here. I can see other people on the phone system and whether they're busy or not. So very similar to the Maestra application over here, right? You can see that Jeff, for example, is available. And there's, of course, a directory in here. And we can have groups of people and so on and so forth. It's just not configured. And so again, the same idea. We've got a presence. We have call control. When I place a phone call, the same thing happens. So if I dial 9416783-7890, and I click on dial here, it'll call me first on my cell phone. This time I won't mess it up because I'll answer it. It doesn't require you to press the second digit. So again, it rings. I pick it up.
Thank you for calling.
And then it will call straight out.
For customer service, please press.
Okay. And likewise, if somebody calls me, so somebody calls me, 64. There we go, and dial. And it would start to ring in on my office phone, and it will call me here because this is where I told it I am right now. So here we go. I could answer it. And then from here, I can actually drop people. You can see obviously there's two-way audio. I can drop people, record the call, all the kind of functionality that I would normally have on my desk phone. And again, no voice over IP, right? Because it's completely GSM, or it's completely analog phone that's sitting beside you, you know, again, at your cottage or something like that, right? Where internet is generally not that available. Okay, so again, they've given us the functionality to make calls, to receive calls, to turn it on remotely and turn it off remotely. Like that's one of the big keys here is, as you saw in Istra, and they do a really nice job of it in this application, we can go to forwardings and we can change our settings and tell it, for example, after this is done, that we want to use the regular Polycom phone from now on as our main terminal for placing calls just by a click. And further to that, I could change my caller ID that people see when I call out. And further to that, I can turn on and off my mobile twinning, or what they would call it multi-ring. So, the whole idea being that, again, when you're working remotely, you need to be able to turn these functions on and off, because at the end of the workday, you don't want your phone ringing all night, your cell phone ringing, because somebody at the office has set it up. So you think about phones of yesteryear, you know, you would have something like, say, a Nortel or something. If you're in Ontario, you'd have a North Star at your office, and you could ask people to turn it on when you were away. They'd use feature 4, and then they'd call forward your phone. But day or night, your cell phone's ringing because of that call forwarded call. So nowadays, it's just so much better. We can do it ourselves. You can do it from the 400 if you're not driving, on your way to cottage country, and you can turn this kind of stuff on and off very easily. Okay, so again, the two of them are very similar. Now, one last piece I want to show you is, let me go over here. I'm going to want to stop sharing. So you're going to see me again. Sorry for that. And I want to, there we go. I want to show you that it will work in a mobile browser. Now, here's the deal. So here is 1X Portal in a mobile browser. So hold it up there for you, right? Not so hot. I'll tell you why. Because they didn't resize it for the mobile page, okay? Whereas the Maestra says system is unreachable. That's odd. It's working earlier here. Let's refresh the page. I'm sure it'll be fine. There we go. Good. I thought so. Maestro, on the other hand, is automatically formatted for mobile browsers, right? So that's one thing I kind of prefer, and you'll find that a lot with the hosted providers, that generally, again, because they were always software as a service, this is their pedigree. Generally, they've got this stuff figured out a little quicker. Now, what Avaya did instead was Avaya produced an app. So it's called the 1X mobile app, and it goes on your phone. And again, it doesn't need to create phone calls for you, although it can create voice over IP phone calls. It doesn't need to create voice over IP phone calls for you. It can instead be used very much like we are now, and then the GSM, so your regular phone. So in other words, just to sort of spell it out, if I was to go in here and create or place a phone call, it would call me back on the phone using normal cellular service. Or it could even call me back on my analog phone here, and this phone is nothing, or my iPad is just nothing more than a conduit to be able to control the phone in a nicer manner. We could do that as well, right? And so again, with the application of I kind of covered their base on it, but as far as mobile browser and complete ease of use, it's just not there. It's not something that they built in. Okay, so go back here again to sharing a screen. All right, share. There we go. Good. Excellent. Sort of back to this then. So what I've done here is I built you a little checklist. Again, these are really simple things, but in my opinion, every modern phone system should have them or have the option. So for anybody on this call who bought a phone system in the last decade, I'm sure that these options are likely out there. Now, whether you need an upgrade to get there, what's involved, I don't know. But I just know that modern phone systems in general have these sorts of things, and I think that it's important that they do. So specifically, it's important that they've got direct inward system access. So you can see in this case, I've kind of ranked them. Not that this mattered, I just kind of found myself doing it. So IP Office does a beauty job, specifically because when you get that dial tone from IP Office, you can do things like paging features and even call listen features and a lot of stuff that you'd never expect you could ever do from straight on calling a phone number and getting dial tone. So it's really strong that way. Hosted PBX, Digitcom's hosted PBX, not quite as strong. It can do paging and things, but it can't throw every shortcode, and it can't do things like call listen remotely. Not a big deal for most people. In fact, it wouldn't matter, but it's just something that I noted. Web portals, likewise, I thought it was important to give hosted PBX a bit of credit there, because their mobile browser, again, no app required. There is an app, incidentally, for hosted PBX as well, but right in your mobile browser, in your Chrome or whatever, you can get it working perfectly. Whereas the mobile browser for 1X just doesn't work very well because it's trying to squeeze a regular formatted page into a mobile browser. So it's painstaking, and you would definitely want to get the app on your phone. Then lastly, as far as remote terminals go, so remember the definition of remote terminals being able to set up phones that ring, when your telephone number rings, phones that will ring when you go to make an outbound call, that sort of deal. The remote terminals are very strong in both cases. So in closing, it's possible to work remotely, right? There's just no two ways about it without complicated or expensive solutions. So you don't need to have 3 hard phones on your desk. You don't need to have a soft phone and a fairly decent headset and a laptop and decent internet and so on and so forth, and a VPN. I don't want to make it sound complicated, because the truth is soft phones have come a long way, and they're not that bad now, and they're not that expensive either. But this is really inexpensive, and this will work with very little setup. So if you don't have much of an IT department at your office, or you can't depend on where people will be, i.e. they go to cottages and things like that and want to be able to work, then this is a really nice solution. So if you're shopping for a phone system, make sure that these are available. So you just don't know when you're going to need them, and that's really what it comes down to. You could say, well, this is great, my phone system supports soft phones, but doesn't do these things, I'll be fine. Like I said, maybe in some cases you won't be. And then lastly, if you got a modern phone system, just ask your interconnect about adding these features. So just figure, if it's something that you're interested in, ask the question before vacation time. Just as we notice in the summer, people obviously, they take their vacation in the summer in Canada anyway. That's really the only decent seasons of the entire year, certainly the only dependable ones for travel. So those 3 months of the summer get very busy and people are asking, hey, is it possible that I could work a day from my cottage? Well, the answer is probably yes, fairly easily and fairly inexpensively, right? And so that's about it. So I thank you. What I'm going to do here is I'll turn over to the questions. So I did see some come up. Where are they? Where are they? Where are they? And I apologize that you didn't see the first bunch of slides because I didn't click a second. Click a second slide. So the first solution is called Digitcom's hosted PBX. So it's a branded solution, hence the Digitcom's hosted PBX. So if that answers your question, and then let me find the chat window here, just a sec here. All right, let me cover a bunch of these guys real quick. Good morning, I can hear you. Didn't get the name of the first option. Again, Digitcom's hosted PBX, and then the second one was Avaya IP Office with specifically the 1X portal. Okay, can this be linked to Outlook, Calendar, and Contact? Yes, I'm trying to think. The most modern version of Avaya IP Office does link to Outlook, like Outlook 365. It always did actually link to Outlook proper, so the Outlook application. It has always had a product that pulls contacts from there as well. In the case of hosted PBX, it doesn't link up to Outlook per se. No, I don't believe that it links directly to Outlook. But what it will do is this: it will allow you, if you're running the phone, it will allow you to click the dial, just as it's an adjacent application. So it'll be covered in an upcoming webinar where I'll talk about sort of higher tech solutions, i.e. soft phones. But there's a really neat one that both of these products have that actually run right in the browser, if you can believe that. So it still requires decent internet for a connection, so it doesn't fit the bill for today. Today was cheap and cheerful. And under the circumstances of worst case scenario where we just don't have good enough voice quality internet. But like I say, in a future episode, we will be talking more about soft phones, and both these things have both of these offerings have a really nice soft phone. DISA stands for Direct Inward System Access. That's what that one was. So I was seeing no problem during the whole thing. I appreciate that, Judy. I was hoping that you'd see my screen though. I think that's what I messed up at the beginning of it. So this says on the Mobis app, while on a phone call with a client, can we transfer the call to another colleague or extension? Yeah, I believe so. I believe so, yeah. I can't honestly demonstrate it because I'm not actually running Mobis. I'm running Maestra. So I'm doing the browser one. But yes, yeah, I can't see why not. Same as you can with the Avaya solution as well. All right, folks, so it's 11:28. This is the first time I've ever finished on time. So I'm proud of that part. It's probably because I ripped through those first few slides that you couldn't see. I apologize for that. Thank you very much again, guys, for your time. I hope this has provided some value to you. If you've got any more questions, please ask them real quick. We'll cover them. And otherwise, I will let you go and have the rest of your day back. Just watching the chat window here. Oh, and I see also questions. Jeffrey, I see it's the third part of the webinar series. Yes, it was. Yeah, did you miss much from the first two? Well, I'd like to think that they have value. The good news is this, though, they are online. So you can find any of these webinars online shortly after we do them. So usually a few days later. It takes a little while to produce them and put them on. Digitcom has a YouTube channel, Digitcom Marketing. So you can look that up and find them there. And also, I believe there are links to them off of our website. So check them out. Yeah, they're on completely different topics. And again, the idea here is not to flog a product, but rather to show you solutions that are out there and help you make good decisions. Hopefully it's with us, but if it isn't, that's okay too. Our mandate is to provide you with good information. Okay, so they were not flogging products in any way. They were again, general information. All right, folks, well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it, and have a good rest of your day.